You're listening to Where You Live with Gene and Tony.
Welcome back. This is Where You Live with Gene and Tony. We're broadcasting from the Natural Green Lawn and Landscape Studios. We're brought to you by American Family Insurance, the Kim Bennett Agency, and Extreme Exteriors. You can count on Extreme Exteriors for expert installation of exterior siding, roofing, soffits, fascia, decks, windows, and more. With their knowledge and experience, they can design the perfect solution to make your home beautiful and energy efficient, saving you maintenance and money for years to come. Call Extreme Exteriors at 763-441-1334. Extreme Exteriors, 763-441-1334. It's time now to hear from the Community Associations Institute. This CAI Minute is brought to you by New Concepts Rental Management. Whether you're an accidental landlord or a seasoned investor, New Concepts Rental Management can help you achieve your financial goals. New Concepts Rental Management can advise and guide you through every aspect of the business. Call me, Tony Crockett, at New Concepts Rental Management, 952-922-2500. New Concepts Rental Management, 952-922-2500.
Are you a volunteer in your homeowner association? Maybe a residential property manager wanting to increase your industry knowledge and obtain professional credentials in property management. Are you a vendor or professional offering services to homeowners and associations or property managers? If you said yes to any one of those questions, then join the Community Association Institute. The CAI is a great organization, helping you be informed and more proficient in your homeowner association board member or property manager role. It's also a great way to network with potential clients. For nearly 40 years, CAI has provided education and resources to volunteer homeowners who govern community associations and the professionals who support them. Visit CAI-MN.com to learn more. That's CAI-MN.com. The Minnesota chapter of CAI holds monthly managers' luncheons, board member education training, property manager certification training, and much more. It also produces a bi-monthly informative magazine called Minnesota Community Living. Why not join the Community Association Institute today? You can do so online at CAI-MN.com and select membership.
So, Gene, let's address this first question from one of our listeners. This was in an email last Friday, and the subject, public prayer.
Okay.
Dear Gene, I live in a senior cooperative building, and we're having an issue regarding public prayer. I'm wondering if you have any experience or insights on the issue. We often have community events that are held in our great room. 2 of our elected board members say public prayers or sing hymns in the Protestant tradition at the beginning of these events. Some of our cooperative members believe that this practice is illegal because we're a secular community. Other cooperative members think that they have a right to have public prayers at all community functions. I'd be interested in knowing how communities you work with have handled this issue. Or is there any legislation regarding public prayer in senior communities? We've had 2 possible solutions proposed, one being to have no public prayer, and the other being to have a moment of silence where each resident could offer a silent prayer in his or her own tradition. However, it does not appear that the majority of the board or the majority of our members would be willing to support either of these compromises. Is this something that should be reviewed by our cooperative attorney? I enjoyed your webinar on Wednesday, and I look forward to your input on this issue of public prayer.
Yes. Well,
what do you think?
She asked several very good questions. She asked, is this something that has happened in other associations that we've managed? And the answer is yes. I've seen something like that take place.
Have
where
you?
There has been before the start of an annual meeting where someone will have sometimes people will have the Pledge of Allegiance. I've seen an association that has opened up in prayer. She asks the question: is there any legislation on this matter? I would say.
Look, first, let's say you are not an attorney.
Of course.
Let's just state that disclaimer. Okay. Just thought I'd point that out.
I think people know that from these
hey,
couple years.
Hey.
Okay.
Yeah.
But when I take, is there legislation that talks about this? Yes, there is. I would refer you to the First Amendment of the United States. And in it is very specific, and I think it can probably shed some light. It says, Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion.
Okay.
Or prohibiting the the free exercise thereof, or the people peaceably to assemble.
Okay.
So
All right.
I would take from that, and even though I'm not an attorney, that would certainly think that it's very clear that
The Constitution does not
the
allow
Constitution
it.
says that
Yeah.
that is fine. We're talking about a homeowner association. A couple of things that I would point out in this situation. Number one, we're not talking about a board meeting or an annual meeting. We're talking about a group of people in a community who
Social events is really what they're talking
they
about.
socialize together and they share a meal together.
Mm-hmm.
I would say if people want to pray, there certainly is no issue with that whatsoever.
There's no legal prohibition.
No, not
Yeah.
at all. It is a optional event. People
That's a good
can
point.
choose to attend or not to attend.
That's a good point.
With that in mind, though, if I am a neighbor, just in the ilk of our last story, Mr. Judd, you want to be thoughtful about the other people in your community.
Sure.
And so
And consider it.
consider it.
Yeah.
And so if someone was concerned because there was praying in the Protestant tradition, perhaps the next time there could be a prayer in the Catholic tradition for those that are Catholic. Maybe there could be something that could be done in the Jewish tradition for people who are Jewish. Maybe there's
Maybe there's some kind of ecumenical blessing.
and
Sure.
there's a ecumenical prayer that
Sure.
that there's a number of things that you can do that would not necessarily tip the hat towards one, and I would think that most people would be okay. When I go to someone's house and if someone has a different tradition, I'm fine. I'm not offended by that.
Right.
I think that's fine and just an expression
Right.
of who they are. I don't think the association should be afraid of that. In this case, I would say I think you could try and do some things to try and be a little bit more inclusive
Sure.
with other people.
And there is a process for that. There's a process in your documents on how to handle issues like this, controversial issues. And that is usually you address the board with a specific concern. They consider it. If you don't like the decision they came up with, you can force them to hold a special meeting of all the members.
And that's okay for things that are sanctioned association events. But again, to put this in perspective, this is a total voluntary situation.
So
where
you're
people
thinking
are
this
getting
isn't covered by the association?
No,
Okay,
if people are getting together for dinner, whether they choose to eat standing up the whole time, or sit down, or whether they choose to sing or not to sing, that's
That's a good point.
that should be
That's
just
good.
fine.
What do you think about her asking, should this issue be reviewed by the association's attorney?
No. I think that would be going too far. I don't.
Well,
I don't think
yeah, and like you just said, this is a secular issue. This is a non-association issue. So, as a member, I don't know that I want to pay an attorney to address one
Yes.
member's concerns.
But
Yeah.
but I like the idea that they're trying to do some things to try and take care of being considerate of other people's feelings, and maybe that could be. And if they decided to have a moment of silence, sure, that would be fine.
Sure.
If they did what I suggested earlier about having other people pray in other traditions of people that are there, that would be fine. You know,
I always have trouble empathizing with people who are offended by something that is absolutely harmless and means no harm to anyone. You know, it's like I don't know. I understand that this is a touchy subject, but sometimes you just have to stop and go, is this really harming anyone?
Yeah.
And maybe I should just live with it.
Isn't that sort of the collateral damage that comes from our PC, politically correct
Possibly,
world
yes.
that we live
Yeah,
in? You
I
know,
think sometimes it does.
I mean, how many people are afraid to even say Merry Christmas?
I know.
You know, in the holidays. You know, I know one particular association where the board president is Jewish. he knows that I'm a Christian. He always wishes me a Merry Christmas,
Yes.
not a Happy Holidays.
Yes.
And I wish
Yes.
him a Happy
And
Hanukkah.
isn't that
and that's
nice? Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
neither one is ever thinking we're compromising our
Right.
our values. No,
Right.
we are in the spirit
I-
of just wishing the best for someone else.
And I feel free to wish everyone a Merry Christmas. I'm not saying imposing my beliefs on them, but I am wishing them well.
Exactly.
For the
so
season.
sometimes there's a little bit of oversensitivity,
Yeah, I think so.
And so from that standpoint, if there's a few people that are very sensitive about that at this association, they don't have to attend that dinner.
That's true.
They don't have to attend. But we want you to attend each and every segment of Where You Live. We're going to take a break, but don't go away. We've got a couple more, so we'll be back after these messages.